A-N-A-K-I, Abenaki or Wabanaki. And this same area is the place where many of the archaeologists have found hieroglyphics that match almost identical to Egyptian hieroglyphics. We went over that in some of the classes earlier. And this is what the people drew their faces as. This is what they look like. That looked like me and you. Okay? And keep that word Wabanaki down, because the Wabanaki or Abenaki was another name for the Delaware who were here when William Penn came. So-called Delaware. That's what they named it. They were in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and what we're calling Delaware now. Okay? So this is what we look like, our ancestors. All right? Next slide. Another picture. Okay? Now, something very interesting is happening here, because I know that, again, we haven't been taught the truth, but of course we are dealing with that now. And what we're going to find out is that the people who lived here look like us, lived our ancient culture that we have learned is African culture in America, and of course, again, are the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere. Okay, and I want to read directly from this slide about this particular face. Because this slide, if I remember correctly, is a dedication to the god Baal, which was an ancient Sumerian or Phoenician deity, which is where you get the names Bay and El from, that most of the Moors use. Okay? And the caption on the picture talks about his lock-like afro hair and the radiant energy that symbolizes this deity. But of course, again, the deity with the cornrow afro look and the radiant energy definitely looks like, to me, looks like us. Okay? All right. So what do these people call themselves? Because there's a lot of communication about that. Are we Anasazi? Are we Cherokee? Are we Iroquois? Are we Yamasee? Where did the people come from, and what name did they use for themselves? Okay, now this is a comparison between the alphabet that's also made in America BC. It's called a Libyan alphabet, which is a form of ancient Arabic, but the symbols, the letters are different. Okay? And it says Libyan alphabet signs appearing on the tablet from Orient, New York, compared with other Libyan alphabets. They always told us that the Indians didn't have languages. I guess that the lexicographers wanted to hide who was actually the people by hiding their languages. The Libyan text of the alphabet is given on page 270 with a translation. The phonetic rendering of the lower section of the tablet, left to right, is Debet Tamir Was, vessel from Egyptian dominions, and the top line reads Ta Depet, this ship. But if you look at the second line right here, Depet Tamir Was, the word that they use for Egyptian is Tamir, because Egypt was called Tamore, Ta meaning nation, and More meaning the people. So this is where you get the ancient term Moors, that the Romans and the so-called various other Caucasian types of people used to call our people all over Africa, which means black. And you find this in America amongst these same people. So we'll have to ask a question about who we are. Okay? All right. A few more points, because I want to go right into Benjamin Banneker, but before I do, I have to make these points. This is something called a Davenport stele. We talked about it a lot. It's a calendar, an ancient calendar found in Iowa. And it has 3 different types of script. The top has what we call Demotic or Heretic script, which is ancient Egyptian, or Tamore, ancient Moorish script. The second has Iberian Punic, which is a form of Hebrew. And the third is the Libyan Arabic script. And this calendar, based on how it was designed and made, is the ancient Egyptian calendar, which was based on a certain study of astronomy, a certain knowledge of the heavens and the earth, okay, which Benjamin Banneker had, which the Caucasians didn't have, which is why he was the one doing the design for the construction of Washington, D.C. because Washington, D.C. is laid out on ancient African or ancient Moorish cosmology. Okay? All right. And we went over this before, but this is going to become more important as we go into our subject on jurisprudence and history. This is the alabaster egg of the cartouche of the pharaoh Tutankhamun found in Idaho. Now, what is Tutankhamun's things doing in Idaho and the Smithsonian didn't bring them? Our ancestors brought them here. And this particular dynasty in Egypt, which is the 18th dynasty, which is called Amorna dynasty, when you study ancient Egypt, you'll find that this dynasty brought back an ancient study of cosmology. Now, why I keep talking about cosmology is because we're talking about jurisprudence. We're going to talk about jurisprudence. And the reason why we are in the condition that we're in is we don't know how to govern ourselves. Our self-individual and our self-collective. And we live by a certain spiritual science, which we have all but lost. Okay? So I'm mentioning this particular dynasty of people because they were the reinitiators of this information in Egypt after they had lost it in Egypt. All right. This is another inscription found. And this is interesting because it's going to lead right into our subject again on our people introducing these people to certain information. This is Jesus ben Maria, Jesus the son of Mary, a petroglyph recorded by Professors Heiser and Baumhoff, and this is from America, BC as well, from a site discovered by Professor Julian Stewart at his site 41 in Inyo County, California. Although the inscription refers to Jesus, the phrase son of Mary is found in several surahs of the Quran, so the text may be Muslim. A Christian might be expected to have written Mary was the mother of Jesus or Jesus was the son of God. This text, deciphered by Fell and confirmed by competent Arab scholars, has been dismissed by one of the archaeological journal as an obvious attempt by Fell to appeal to the religious. So basically what they're saying is, Barry Fell is the man who wrote this book that I pulled some of this information from. And what he has done is he has proven that the people of Northern and West Africa and Central Africa were the true founders of civilization in the North, Central, and South Americas. No one came over the Bering Strait. The Bering Strait was an invention, and we have documented where the invention came in a script called Ulum script that was placed amongst the Delaware Indians by a Caucasian, which is why most of our people believe they came from the Bering Strait. All right. I'm going to lead right into the subject matter. This is another text that we've used before. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I want to show that these Masons that came over here were initiated by our black ancestors on this ground. Okay? And we'll show who we are and why, this subject is so dealt with so delicately. Abbreviated version of the Ten Commandments written in the form of Phoenician or early Hebrew script showing Greek influence. It is inscribed by scraping off the dark desert varnish to disclose the lighter bedrock beneath and has changed little, if any, during the past century. It is located at Las Lunas near Albuquerque, New Mexico, and has been the object of study by the late Professor Robert Pfeiffer. So here in New Mexico, you also have these ancient Phoenician writings, which have Greek influence because we are the founders of the Greek language, showing the Ten Commandments. Okay? And of course, we've seen this before, but this point I'm bringing it up again because it has to do with the design of Philadelphia and D.C. and Banneker. This is the Fairmount Waterworks that when it was just under construction in the early 1800s. And in the backdrop, you can see what the Art Museum is sitting on right now is or was a step pyramid. Okay? And when we get to find out who the Lenape are, Nanticoke Moors, we're going to find out why these pyramids were here. Okay. I guess I can do that now. We can come off of the slide for a second, and I can go over some information in regards to that. and then we come back. Okay. Now, the reason why, again, I titled the subject